Today I would like to speak about failures and success. Why do people fail? So I'd like to give a spiritual perspective. So when we keep on failing, and yet each time we expect a miracle, that something is going to happen all of a sudden and things will change, it means we're either insane or are on the way there. Because if we look at the reasons of failure, these reasons are never outside of ourselves. We have to always remember that we are we are that we experience. Our life is nothing but the emanation of that which we are. And in order to understand why certain people succeed in life and other people fail, we have to understand the internal pattern, because it is the internal pattern that we don't recognize that leads us to constant failure. And then this sort of a circle of insanity where we continuously expect a miracle. That's why there are so many industries that feed off this expectation, this hope, that give you hope without allowing you to recognize your true pattern, the pattern that leads you to failure, that leads you to self-doubt and inability to be consistent in life. So without recognizing, first of all, without spending time to observe oneself, without recognizing and allowing oneself to change this pattern, there is no way that something else will ever change or happen differently in our lives. And that's what we are to understand here, because it's so much easier to hope, to believe in supernatural, to expect saviors and someone to come and save us, instead of looking within, facing one's own pain, facing one's own patterns, which are the patterns that suppress, contract our natural expression, the expression of our creative being, and thus not allowing us to reach that point where we can just act in a free manner through the letting go of expectations, through the state of surrender. And surrender means you are in the natural flow of your own being. When you are in the natural flow, you embrace your nature. It means you're aware of your strengths and weaknesses, and you allow your strength to manifest through your actions, through your self-expression, through the way you communicate with yourself and with the other, with the projected reality. And that's how you pave your path to success, by being yourself, by being your authentic self, meaning expressing that creative being with full awareness and conviction, which means realizing or having already realized those patterns that cause the suppression of this authentic self-expression, that cause the suppression of creative being, that manifested obviously in failure. Failure is nothing but inability to be one's authentic being at every given time, to live life through that authentic being, to express oneself in an authentic way, with full conviction, with full awareness of one's creativity, one's creative being. And what causes the failure is the logical thinking, the thought patterns that suppress the expression of the authentic self and the creative being, nothing else. So when we allow traumas, the traumatic patterns, to affect our lives, we usually fail or do not achieve the conditions of full self-expression, where this self-expression could lead to contentment, to abundance, to prosperity in life, to feeling that I am in my own environment, in my own nature as I am. So failure means I am in the wrong environment. Failure means I'm not expressing myself fully. That's why I am occupying a mediocre niche, or I am not doing what I would love to do, or I have to serve someone else or do something for someone else because I can simply not be autonomous in my creative expression and my creative being. So when we haven't identified the pattern of failure, we can never succeed, no matter how much we try, no matter how much we believe or try to manifest consciously certain things. Even if we do succeed in this manifestation, we will not be able to maintain it or to retain that which we've gained, because that is not a part of us. So the secret of success is you manifest that which you are. And so before you get in touch with your true, authentic, creative being, before you get into that alignment, your life will always be the reflection of that which you are, which is a mess, which is a havoc, or which is some sort of a misalignment on certain levels. Until you realize that, until you awaken to these negative patterns and obstructions within through the natural state of being. So you awaken to the natural state of being so that you can clearly see the obstruction, the pattern of failure, and so that you become dedicated and spend some time and work on yourself to dissolve these patterns so that you naturally open the path of unobstructed self-expression, the path of that creative being that you've been suppressing. And that is nothing but the spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, where the creative potential has been released and that power of awareness dissolved all the negative patterns, all the obstructions. And now you've realigned, you've built your spiritual building on a proper foundation where at every moment you are that creative being. At every moment you're aware of you being that which you are, and you are in alignment with creation. So how can your life be a failure or be a manifestation of lack or anything of a limited or repressed nature? It does take time, but at least it's important to have a proper perspective on why we fail and how to change it. And the only way to change it is to awaken to one's natural being, one's creative, authentic being, so that you can see all the patterns that obstruct that creative being from flowing naturally outwards or being there in the way it should be. And awakening to the patterns that do not allow us to be that abundance, prosperity, beauty, health, love that we so much desire. And once we realize that, we live in a constant state of contentment, relaxed being, without patterns, but in a spontaneous flow of free self-manifestation. And that's why we start experiencing naturally abundance, prosperity, unconditional love in which we bathe. So I hope this video helped some of you to gain clarity and maybe realign within, awaken to your natural being. Or you may watch it from time to time and remind yourself to observe your patterns, to identify first of all your patterns, to observe how they manifest and obstruct the natural self-expression and how it leads you to failure. The moment you identify the pattern, you are on the path of self-liberation from that pattern, and thus on the path of your natural creative being manifestation. And that's the way. It's so simple yet so difficult, because sometimes the pattern is tied up to trauma and pain. And without facing and dissolving this trauma and pain, there's no way we can ever feel deeply aligned with the existence, with the creation within ourselves. Nor we can pave the path to higher knowledge and evolution. Thank you very much.